All right, let's talk about the 10 rules of blogging, or 10 things you need to do to take your blog or niche site to at least a part-time side hustle. Rule number one, pick a niche. So when I say pick a niche, I mean pick a niche and own that niche. There's too many bloggers out there who are writing about all kinds of things that are just really not related. Cooking, travel, parenting, all these random collection of topics on their site, and it's really hard to gain traction, especially from an SEO perspective when you're all over the map with your content. Google doesn't know what your site is about. Google doesn't know what your site is an authority on. So it's very important to do a little research at the beginning, or maybe a lot of research at the beginning, especially if you're starting a niche site. And after you've done that research, to zero in on a niche and dominate that niche. For example, if you're entering the coffee niche, right? That's a great niche for a niche site. You could come up with hundreds of article ideas for your site and establish yourself as an authority on that topic when you're always writing about coffee and espresso and all the different angles around that niche. But if you're writing about, tea and traveling to Europe and changing your baby's diaper all on the same site, right? It just doesn't make any sense. It's going to be really hard to, again, rank in Google for all these random keywords. So if you want to start a blog or a niche site that makes a couple $1,000s per month, number one is choose your niche and dominate your niche. All right, rule number two, stop wasting time on things that don't matter. All right, how many times have you gone into a blogging Facebook group and there's people in there posting, they don't even make $100 a month, and they're asking about what theme should they choose, right? They want to change their theme, or where should I get a good logo produced, or what should my tagline be for my blog, right? All these little things that don't matter, especially when you're just starting out. Or how do I optimize my about page, right? When I'm starting a brand new niche site, these are the things at the way back of my mind, especially switching themes or creating your logo. They don't really matter. When I'm starting a new site, for my logo, I'll go into Canva and make it in about 2 minutes. For my theme, I already know what theme I want to use when I'm just getting started, right? I want to have my new site up and running as quickly as possible so I can start producing content. That's the name of the game, especially with niche sites, is the quality and quantity of your content. The more good content we can get posted, the better chance we'll have of ranking in Google and getting traffic and making money. That's the name of the game, especially early on. So don't waste your time on all these little tweaks to make your site look perfect. You can definitely go back and optimize that stuff once you start getting traffic and earning money. I'm not saying design is important. I'm not saying your theme or how your site looks isn't important at all, but it's not a priority, especially at the beginning. All right, rule number three is be in it for the long haul. So if you want to make a side income with a niche site, it's not going to be this thing where you post 5 articles in a month and then you're making $500 per month. As with any, reputable side hustle online gig, right? Like a YouTube channel, for example, or a niche site, it's going to take time and it's going to take effort, right? If I'm trying to start a YouTube channel so I can make a couple $1,000s per month, I'm not going to just be able to post one video a month for 6 months and then have it made, right? Same idea with a blog or a niche site. You need to be in this for the long haul, at least 12 months of good effort, knowing what you're doing in order to gauge on whether this really will be something that you can succeed with. But I see too many bloggers, again, in these Facebook groups. Why am I not getting any traffic? They're only a couple months in and they only have a handful of posts. But you need to be in it for the long haul if you want to see success with a blog or a niche site. Rule number 4, target a keyword for every post you write. So this rule is a little more specific. It's obviously SEO focused, but it's incredibly important. Every time you hit publish on a new post on your site, you should be going after some kind of keyword. I know some bloggers, they're too cool for keyword research. They don't want to write for Google. They just want to write about whatever they want. But it's really hard to succeed that way. You should have a strategy for every post you publish on your site. In other words, why are you writing this particular post? The name of the game with niche sites and blogs is, of course, we want to attract an audience to our content. And with search, it comes down to, are people actually interested in this topic? Will they hop onto Google and type in some variation of this phrase, right? We're not just writing for ourselves. The old days of blogging where you're documenting your day or your budget or what you had for lunch are long gone. When we're trying to scale a niche site, it's all about creating content that has search demand. So every time you publish a post, it should be strategic. There should be a keyword behind it. Think about a real person typing that keyword into Google. So every post, you should be targeting a specific keyword. Rule number 5, create the best content possible. So I think over the past couple of years, at least, the past 3 or 4 years that I've been working with bloggers, that content has gotten a lot better. Or kind of put another way, bloggers understand that they can't just shortcut their content and expect it to rank in Google. Because it was only a few years ago where you would see bloggers pumping out just 500-word posts, very thin content, right, in the name of, I need to post twice a week. So they would kind of really half-ass the content, and it would just not be very good. But again, over the past few years, definitely seen a big improvement in the quality of content that's getting published on blogs, on niche sites. Google certainly raised the bar in that respect. But when you're in the content business, which is what blogs and niche sites are all about, then obviously our content is the most important thing. The quality of our content is incredibly important, not only for search engines, but for our readers, right? If you're trying to establish some kind of brand, maybe you want to get people to sign up for your email list, maybe you want to sell them an ebook. It comes down to the quality of your content. Do people trust your content? So don't take shortcuts with the quality of your content. It's incredibly important, and it's only going to get more important going forward. Rule number 6, diversify your traffic and income. So obviously I'm all about SEO traffic. SEO traffic is the best traffic, the most reliable traffic you can get for a blog or a niche site, but I'm not going to tell you to only focus on SEO. I do think it should be your priority, right? Your main focus, but there's always risk with Google. Obviously, Google updates, Google algorithm shakeups. Okay, so in terms of traffic, if you can diversify it with Pinterest, that's obviously a good idea. It tends to be niche dependent, and I really do think Pinterest traffic, free Pinterest traffic, is just dying off. So definitely focus on SEO, but if your niche makes sense to be on Pinterest, you should obviously be diversifying your traffic with Pinterest. Same idea with income, or maybe even building an audience. Obviously, with a niche site or a blog, SEO, again, is the focus, but starting a YouTube channel, frankly, would be my number 2 option. After that, we all know YouTube is owned by Google. They prioritize YouTube videos in the search results. Again, this is going to be niche dependent, and you can get an idea of this by just Googling keywords in your niche. Is Google showing YouTube videos at the top of the search results? That's a pretty good sign that you should start a YouTube channel. And again, I would much rather spend the time and effort it takes to build a YouTube channel than I would messing around with Pinterest or Instagram, maybe TikTok. I don't know. It depends on your niche. It depends on your audience. But, Google SEO traffic, number 1, and I'd probably put YouTube number 2. But again, the main idea here is diversifying traffic, diversifying income with ads, affiliates, email lists, sponsored posts. There's, a handful of ways that we can diversify our income. But the whole idea here is that if one of those things gets knocked down, maybe it's a Google update, maybe Amazon cuts their affiliate commissions, which they have done repeatedly, right? If we get hit on one side, well, then we need something else that kind of props us up while we're trying to work that out. Rule number 7 is start an email list. All right, so we were just talking about diversifying our traffic and our income. Arguably the best way to do that is to own an email list, right? Start your email list. You kind of own that list, although, as an aside, Google owns Gmail, and Gmail can put our emails into spam. They can put our emails into promotion. That's just an aside note there. But obviously, email lists are incredibly important for my SEO business, my SEO courses, my SEO blog. Email list is my number one focus. It's basically how my entire business operates. It's with a really, really solid email list and a solid strategy. And of course, the point of having an email list is so you can eventually sell your own product, or at least be an affiliate for products in your niche, so you can communicate directly with your audience. You're not relying on someone typing something into Google. You're not relying on someone typing something into YouTube, although of course we want to leverage the power of those platforms as well. But again, going back to the idea of diversifying, an email list is the best way to diversify. It's the best way to make money with your own product if that's something that you're interested in doing. Rule number 8, the best way to scale your traffic is to scale your content. All right, so we talked about this a little bit before, but especially with a niche site, we obviously are very concerned with the quality of content, but the quantity, right? The number of articles you can publish is arguably just as important. And, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you're sick of me making this analogy, but it's true, right? If we have 2 separate niche sites in the same niche, the quality of the content is the same, the keyword research quality is the same, right? All things, the links are the same, everything is equal, except for the fact that site A has 200 articles published on the site, where site B only has 20 articles published on the site, right? Which site do you think has a better chance of making more money, right? Of course, it's the site with 200 articles. And that makes sense logically when we think about it, but I don't see many bloggers focusing on the velocity of the content that they're putting out, right? You never really see in these Facebook groups how much content, right? How many articles, right? It's never the discussion around that, and it's for a few reasons, I think, and we can talk about this in another point about investing, but a lot of bloggers are afraid to spend money. Let's be honest. People are terrified of spending $100 on an article, right? And it makes sense in some way, but if you want to get to, 4 figures plus per month, 5 figures maybe with a niche site, just with ads and affiliates, it's a good idea to start thinking about investing in content, right? Because more articles equal more chances to rank in Google, more traffic opportunities, and then more ad revenue, right? If you wanted to get a niche site into AdThrive, imagine publishing 500 articles, right? With that amount of content, assuming you've picked a good niche, assuming you've done your keyword research, and assuming your content, frankly, is 3/4 of the way decent. I mean, I'm going to be honest. You see some niche sites ranking extremely well, and the content it's solid, right? It's good. It's not amazing expert written content. It's solid content, but it's the volume of post that can really accelerate your traffic and your income. Rule number 9, you are creating a business, so treat it that way. Again, I see just so many bloggers and niche site owners or people who want to get into niche sites, and they're kind of playing on the edges, right? They're kind of afraid to really go all in with an idea, which is somewhat understandable. But because of that, they're not treating their site like a business. For example, if you want to get a niche site to $10,000 per month, then you need to think like a niche site owner who already has a $10,000 per month business. And that is a business. You want to get to $20,000 per month. It starts becoming a business, but you need to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's already running that type of business. Are they afraid to spend money on a premium theme? Are they afraid to hire writers? We'll talk about this in the next point. But you need to, again, kind of start with the end in mind. If you want to make $5,000 per month, well, what does a $5,000 per month niche site look like? What is the person running that site? What is their mentality around running a business like that? And it does come down to treating it like a business. If you treat your blog or niche site like a hobby where I'll write a post whenever I feel like it, I'm going to write all of my content myself, and I'm going to put out 2 posts per month, then your results are going to reflect the effort that you put into it, right? You treat your site like a hobby, you're going to have hobby income. All right, rule number 10 is accelerate your results by investing in your growth. You know, this is a big one for me because I understand where people are coming from. At the same time, you know, they have these big goals and they're, again, playing on the edges and afraid to really go in. And what I'm talking about is that people are afraid to invest in their site, in their education, in their growth. People want a $10,000 per month niche site, but they don't want to put in the investment, the learning that goes into it. For example, there's many people in the blogosphere, even many people in my paid communities who are terrified of spending $99 to use Ahrefs for 1 month, right? They want to start a niche site that makes $5,000 per month, but they won't put 99 bucks to invest in Ahrefs. And I'm not talking about personal finance. Everyone has their own personal finance situation, and that's totally understandable. What I'm talking about are business finances. Again, going back to the last point, you need to separate your personal finances from your blogging or niche site finances. If you can't invest 99 bucks in Ahrefs to get your niche site off the ground, then you shouldn't be running a niche site, right? I hate to be that frank, but $99 in the grand scheme of creating a site that you want to get to whatever level is nothing. It's the bare minimum you should be putting in for a site. Think about how relatively inexpensive it is to start an online publishing business, which is what a blog or a niche site is. We've got domain, we've got hosting, maybe a paid theme, maybe paid plugins, maybe paid tools. Maybe you invest in a course to accelerate your growth. Even after all of that, it's under $1,000, right? Which is nothing when you're starting a business. Think about a real world business out there, a coffee shop, a pizza owner, right? Physical businesses, what do you think their startup costs are? Do you think it's more than $1,000, right? Obviously, it's significantly more than that. I'm not saying you have to go out and spend $10,000 on courses and fancy stuff to get your site off the ground. But what I am saying is if you want to get to, again, whether it's $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, you need to start thinking like a person that already has that site. And I can guarantee you they're not afraid to invest in WP Rocket. They're not afraid to invest in Ahrefs. They're not afraid to invest in content every single month to scale their content up like we talked about, right? And there's no guarantee we're going to get a return on that investment either, right? That's not how business works. That's not how niche sites work either. But if you want to be in it, then you need to be in it. And part of that is investing in your growth. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And I'm very curious to hear your comments on my 10 rules of blogging and what are some of your rules for blogging.